Hi guys, thanks for tuning into the Hot Mommy podcast this week. We're finally on episode 3, but before we get into episode 3, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to tap that notification bell so you know when I'm dropping new episodes because you do not want to miss out.
Oh girl, you got me going psycho. Oh, I know.
Into some tough topics, one of them being a DV situation, that can be with or without a kid, or just being in an abusive relationship mentally is something taxing and draining. And even if you feel like it's not a situation where it's abuse, even if it's just a relationship you don't see yourself going anywhere with, I do feel like that is a waste of your time and something that you don't need to be in. So today I'm going to be touching base on a couple of those things. Today I want to start with just the simple, I'm in a relationship and I don't think that I want to be in that anymore. A lot of the times the biggest thing that keeps someone in a relationship is a kid, and as you guys know, I am a single mommy and I have left with a kid involved in that situation. If you're in a situation where you don't feel like you're receiving the best of somebody, but you're giving your everything, or even if you're in a situation where you don't feel like you're willing to give your all and everything to that might not be the place for you to be. And that is totally okay, but it's not okay if you know that and you just stick around because of the supposed benefits that person might do for you. Some of those things might be you're in a relationship with a man who is a provider, but he is just not your end goal. And I feel like if you're in a relationship where you know you're not going to end with that, then you're not being intentional. And being intentional is what we need to be, ladies. Being intentional will get you so far in life, because when you stay in something that you don't even want to be in and you waste all that time, you look back at yourself and you said, dang, I know I should have left sooner. And that is like the worst thing you could do, because you can't get back time, ladies. You literally have to keep moving forward with all of your decisions. So if I can come to you guys today and have a conversation about why it is important to just put yourself first and move forward in these situations, I'm definitely going to do that. For women who are in a relationship, do not let living together be the reason why you're staying with that man. If you're in a situation where I live with somebody, my partner, and I do not feel happy in this relationship, I completely understand that there are steps that you can take to prepare to separate from that person. And sometimes you do have to keep that on the low, because if somebody knows that you're leaving them, specifically a man, usually the pettiness will start and they will try to make it harder for you. You can leave, but sometimes you have to move in silence. You know what I mean? You just have to move in silence, and you have to think about you, because 9 times out of 10, that person is thinking about themselves. So if you're in a relationship and you do not feel like you want to stay in that relationship and you want to leave and you have a lease, what you can do is think about when your lease is going to end. Start touring other places, even if it's a few months before. Start touring other places. Even have those conversations with your partner if you're in a space to do so, and say, hey, I don't know if this is long term going to work out. I'm willing to see where it goes, and you can work on it up until then. But definitely have an escape route. As a woman, you should always have an escape route, because we've seen so many times that a woman is just put right on her butt. I hate to say it, but I've been there, and you don't want to put yourself in a position where you need a man to take care of you 100%. No matter what that man says, oh, let me take care of you, let me spoil you, all that is fine. But when he decides to stop, depending on the man you have, you're going to be in a situation where you're like, okay, I don't have any money with all his money. Now what? Now you're stuck with that person. So definitely always have that fallback plan for yourself. Fallback cash, fallback place to stay, fallback friends, fallback something. Now, if we're going into a situation where it's abuse, that is far more of a plan. You cannot tell that person you're leaving. They're already abusing you. You know what I mean? So you have to plan a little bit differently. But what you can do is start reaching out to advocates and programs and even friends and family and see what they can do to get you out of that situation. Understandable that there are a lot of emotions invested into these relationships, sometimes tons of years invested into these relationships, or even a little bit of time invested in these relationships. And I can't speak for anyone else's emotions or how they feel, but me, sometimes it takes a long time to get out of a situation. It might take me hating them. I will definitely exhaust all of my options in a relationship before just leaving it. So know that if I'm out of a relationship, I've done everything I possibly could in that relationship. But I don't advise that. I don't feel like women should stick through a man's struggle stage. You know what I mean? I just don't see that, because when that man is out of the struggle stage, he's leaving you. The next best thing, and you're probably at your struggle stage for trying to build him up. Don't put yourself in that position. Try to leave when you can. If you're in an abusive relationship, you need to think about yourself. That person does not love you. I don't care if they hit you today and tomorrow say I love you a million times and do everything in the world for you. They're going to do it again. Why? Because you stuck around and you accepted that. And unfortunately, people will do what you allow. So definitely make sure that you're exhausting all of your options and make sure that you have backup plans for these things. Know that people are willing to listen, and even now I have a community section outside of my episodes that you guys can look on the YouTube page, or even in my comments, just drop them. A lot of people have reached out privately and they have, sent me their situation, and I've been responding. Definitely want you guys to build a community within this podcast, Hot Mommy Podcast. So make sure you guys are dropping any questions, concerns, or directly contact me if you have any problems like this. Moving forward, the art of detachment is very tough, and I feel like that is the only thing that keeps people in these relationships is, one, the kid, obviously, but you can do it without the kid. It's just going to be a little bit harder. But I really feel like the thing that keeps people in relationships the longest is always the attachment. We build this super large attachment to somebody just because we're comfortable, and we don't want to start over. We don't want to ask somebody, what's your favorite color? What's your last name? Like, we don't want to do all that. But you have to understand, if you don't do that, then you're just settling. And why would you want to settle? Like, come on, look at you. Like, why would you want to settle? That makes no sense. So for me, mastering the art of detachment has been years of work, and I'm still working on it. As many who know me personally know, it is a tough thing to do, but understand that you can do it. Mastering the art of detachment is something you can look up, something that you can go to groups for, and something you can look for within your large or even small community of friends or family. Definitely understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that person is not your end game, and you know this. And if you know that you're with someone who you don't even feel like is going to be your end game and you stick around, then you're only hurting yourself. So if you're in a situation, where you're pregnant, for example, and you know that you don't want to be with that man halfway through, there's been plenty of instances of that situation, and you're wondering, what can I do? What can I do? How am I going to do this? I'm pregnant. I'm sometimes the first mom. What am I going to do to make sure that me and my baby are going to be good? Imagine you don't have the community. Like, I didn't fully have the community. What are you going to do? You're going to go ahead and think about, how can I get some money? How could I work? I know some people think about the factor of, how can I work with a kid? You can. You need to find a job that is appropriate for that. Or sometimes there are programs that would take your kid younger. I know a lot of people who do not want to do that, and I myself do not want to do that. So I definitely bring my daughter to work with me, unfortunately, but sometimes that can be very unsafe because you don't know the environment, of your day. It's not made for a get out of workspace. But if you have the option to do so, definitely do so. If you have the option of leaving your kid with a family member, do so. If you have the option of dropping your kid out of program, do so. I just want you guys to know that you have options. And so don't let that be the reason that you're staying somewhere you don't want to be. The next thing is, there is always a better man. How do you get over one man? You move forward. You build yourself back up, and don't even go chasing for the next man. Please don't do that. Build yourself up and the right man will come to you. Okay? Don't do that. Focus on yourself. Focus on your mental health. Focus on getting your life together, because honestly, it's probably going to be jacked up by the time you are at this point. You're going off of nothing unless you have a large amount of savings. So just make sure that you're pouring into yourself first. Don't go chasing that next man. But don't let that person make you feel like you're stuck. Sometimes in more of an abusive relationship, you're in a situation where they're telling you nobody's going to want you with a baby, or no one's going to want you when you leave me, even if you don't have a baby. That is a lie. 100% a lie. First of all, mommies know that men love women with kids. One, some of them don't want kids, and so you already having kids is perfect. Or some of them do want kids, you know what I mean? But they're totally fine with the fact that you do have kids, because you probably are more mature mentally, because you have a lot more to think about in life. So don't let the idea, I'm going to be alone because I have a kid. If I leave this person, this is the only person who's going to want me. Never let that be the thing, because if nobody wants you, they wouldn't want you in the first place. They're just trying to break down your mental stability and make you feel like that's not a thing. That is definitely a thing. They love the mommies. They love a woman who is about her stuff. You know what I mean? They love all of that. So if you're a mommy, don't ever feel like I'm stuck in this because I have a kid and nobody's going to want me. Don't do that. If you're single, I don't even know what you're waiting for. I don't even know what you're waiting for. Leave that man. Because I don't know what you're waiting for. Leave that man. You don't even have any responsibility attached to you. Like, why would you feel like you need to stay when you don't even have anything attaching you to that person? You're literally scot-free. So if you are a single woman, you're with a man and you don't have no kids together, it's just perfect timing to really realize that there's so much more in this world than this one person who's not even treating me right. Like, you're already single. There's no real reason to stay in that situation and be bullied by that man. Just move forward. Like, you're totally hot. Remember that. This is the Hot Mommy Podcast. Kanisha here today telling you you're totally hot. No need to stick around for nonsense. You're better than that. And if you don't believe that, know that there is 100 other people out here who do believe you're better than that. So don't ever let that man tell you that you're not. My biggest thing I love to say is, why would I try to make an orange an apple when I can just go get an orange? Meaning, why would I try to make that man fit what I'm going for when I can just go find a man who's going to do everything I'm asking them to do without me even really asking? Like, there's some men out there that just do what you want and you don't have to ask. You've heard it here first. And, you know, sometimes we've already had that man or we've never experienced that man, but they exist. They exist. So my takeaway today, let's get into it. So this time I wanted to give you guys a few things to really think about. One of them being to trust the timing in your life. If you're always trying to stick to a schedule that you've built for yourself, instead of just going on the timing that God has set for you, you're always going to be disappointed for the simple fact that you did not make this life for yourself. You did not put yourself here. God placed you here on this earth and he had a plan for everybody. So every time that you try to force something that shouldn't be, you're going to be disappointed. So understanding that trusting the timing in your life is very important. The next thing I will say is that it's scary but necessary. It is so scary to make a large change like this, whether that is separating from the father of your child or just separating from a bad relationship as a whole, because you have to start over. But as I said before, sometimes starting over is the best thing that you can do for yourself. You're going to experience that same new feeling that you felt when you first met that person, and although it might not feel like you'll ever get there again, you will. So do not let the time hold you back. Don't be scared to move forward, and there's going to be better waiting for you, I promise. Next thing that I wrote down for you guys was that actions speak louder than words. If somebody's consistently telling you for years and months that they're gonna do something, oh, you know, I'm just waiting for this, or it's not the right time, or I had this going on, or I'm gonna be, you know, on, or I'm just grinding right now. Run, because that person has probably been grinding for 30 plus years. Like, I know I'm being exaggerative, but they've been supposed to be grinding for a while. Don't even do that to yourself. Remember that you grow through what you go through, and that you do not have to wear your past trauma on your future sleep. When you do get out of these situations, don't let yourself feel like you're never gonna find love again. You're never gonna find happiness again, and you're never gonna be yourself again. Just by leaving that bad situation, you've already took a step forward to being the best version of yourself. Remember that. What I like to say is one step closer to creating a life you didn't need to separate from. Because why would you wanna live in alternate realities? You want to live in your own reality of actual Zen and not what you present on the internet. A lot of us get tied up and we just want to seem like we're happy on the internet, but inside we're deep down just struggling. So make your life of happiness a reality and not one that is just believable. So the takeaways that I want to get into today would be the steps that is necessary to succeed with leaving in negative or any relationship that you don't want to be in that may include abuse. It varies. You know what I mean? Just if you're a woman and you don't feel right in that situation, these are some of the steps that you can take. One would be to think about how that looks outside of that person. The second thing I would say is plan financially. 3, try to create a support team outside of your partner and keep positive friends and family in your life, because sometimes people try to separate you and, you know, isolate you from people that do care about you so that you can be more willing to accept the negative things that they are doing to you. 4 would be to hold yourself accountable, because at the end of the day, if you want to do something, you'll do it. And if you don't, you don't. So if you know that this is something you genuinely want to do, you need to hold yourself accountable to making these changes. And then I would say, stop chasing potential. Men will literally potentiate you to death. If that man's not all the way together, move forward and find one that is. At the end of the day, you could do about all by yourself. Thank you for tuning into the Hot Mommy Podcast. I hope today was a very helpful episode for you guys and anyone who's in a situation where they feel like they don't want to be in it anymore, whether that be just a relationship regular, a DV situation, or anything of that nature. If you don't want to be there, don't stay there. Understand that you have options. Understand that you have people who do care about you, even if you don't know this. There are options. Remember that. And I will be dropping some of those options below in the comment section. So look out for those. If you have any comments, definitely feel free to go to the community section and or comment under. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so that you don't miss the next episode. You do not want to miss it. This is the Hot Mommy Podcast, and we're tuning out.